Donald Trump is having a disastrous morning as he continues to be outmaneuvered by Iran. Here's what he posted after making very little social media posts and having no public appearances for quite some time. Bessent to Newsmax, that's his Treasury Secretary. U.S. to hit Iran with unprecedented economic isolation. Treasury Secretary Bessent told Newsmax on Thursday that the Trump administration will announce new measures against Iran. That is Donald Trump's plan. Here was Treasury Secretary on Bessent in the interview Donald Trump just posted. It is so utterly pathetic. Let's play this clip.
So when a Democrat says Iran's never been stronger, what's your reaction?
Then it's typical that they're uninformed, deranged, and have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, I do recall Treasury Secretary Bessent, what was it, 2 weeks ago? This was the headline on CNBC when the Trump regime was manipulating the markets then, while Donald Trump and his right-wing oligarchs were making lots of money while the American people were suffering. Bessent says there may be a deal Tuesday or Wednesday to open the Strait of Hormuz with freedom of movement. Remember this? How did that work out? Also this morning, as Donald Trump continues to panic that his precious ballroom is not going to be built after the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals blocked further construction of the ballroom. They did say that he can continue to build the security facilities underneath the top secret bunkers, the specialized hospital for our cognitively and physically declining gremlin in the Oval Office. Donald Trump rushed to the Supreme Court. I'll do a whole other video on this today, but he filed an emergency petition to the Supreme Court. Please stay and block the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling. Supreme Court right-wing justices who I appointed, I need my golden ballroom. I kid you not. And he cites the fact that, like the coward that he is, he had to go on the food truck, that catering truck, and abandon old Air Force One as the new justification why he needs the golden ballroom. He cites all of these claimed assassination attempts that he experienced. And he says, this is why I need my golden ballroom right now. DOJ ballroom appeal. This is what he said. This is what he wrote to the Supreme Court this morning. Trump has been the target of a growing number of recent assassination attempts, including a heavily armed assassin who breached the security perimeter of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a gunman who opened fire at the west entrance of the White House complex, a conspiracy to deploy drones armed with explosives at UFC Freedom 250, the threat of a missile attack against Air Force One on July 8th, a sniper caught in the act by the Secret Service at Trump International Golf Club, Palm Beach, Florida, and a sniper bullet struck the president's ear in Butler, Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, where you don't release your medical records. And yes, an AR-15 bullet hit his ear and it left no mark. We all know those AR-15 bullets they just leave a little tiny little scratch, of course. I mean, this guy's the most pathetic loser while the American people suffer. And then on that interview with Treasury Secretary Bessent that Donald Trump is posting, he was asked, so what are you going to do about the cost of living? Because Donald Trump promised that on day one, electricity prices would be cut in half. Groceries would be made so much more affordable. People would be able to afford housing. Gas would be under $2 a gallon. Right now, gas is the highest it's ever been in the history of the United States on a nationwide average, over $4 a gallon at this time in August. What say you, Bessent? Let me make a prediction. You're going to blame Biden August 14th, 2026, because you're a bunch of pathetic losers. Here, play this clip.
People should be upset. The Biden administration torched them. It was 21.5% unemployment, 4 or 5% loss of purchasing power. Wages didn't keep up. And for working Americans, I think the inflation level is probably 30 or 35% for things like autos, insurance, rent. And we've been trying to bring those down. core.
Then you've got Mark Wayne Mullen. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen, Donald Trump's Homeland Security Secretary. And apparently Trump hates Mark Wayne Mullen as well. So Mark Wayne Mullen shows up on state regime media and he goes, "We all know that Donald Trump's approval is through the roof right now, that it is doing amazing." Here, play this clip.
Says he's winning back our towns and our cities, and the American people his approval rating with American people with restoring law and order is through the roof. This is an 80% issue. No one wants crime running in their streets. People want to feel safe in their own communities. And President Trump focused on that. It was a winning message when President Trump got reelected, and it's a winning message for the midterm election.
All right, let's check in with that right here. This morning, you had Harry Enton breaking down just how unpopular Donald Trump is, especially when it comes to gas prices right now. Here, play this clip.
Where do things stand in this moment, right? Trump's standing when it comes to gas prices.
You know, I very much like you, Erica Hill, but the American people very much dislike, I dare say, hate President Trump when it comes to gas prices. In fact, no president has been hated more when it comes to gas prices. Look at these numbers. Okay. Highest disapproval rate, highest disapproval ratings on gas prices. Erica Hill said it best. Wow. Look at this. 79% in an average of polls. That is the highest disapproval rating for any president on record. Joe Biden wasn't liked on gas prices, but he only reached 72%. Barack Obama wasn't well liked back in 2011, but he only reached 68%. Even George W. Bush back in 2006, he reached 75%. I remember the gas prices being quite high back then, but he only reached 75%. Donald Trump takes the cake as these $4 plus gas prices continue to give us pain at the pump. The American people are taking their anger out on the President of the United States.
So that's the broad number. What about when you break this down by party?
Yeah, what happens when you break it down by party? Well, you don't get to 79% just by Democrats hating you, President Trump. You get to it by the fact that we see it across the board. Look at this. Yeah, wow again. 96% of Democrats, 85% of independents, and even a majority of Republicans, 52%, that loyal Republican base who has been through thick and thin with Donald John Trump, even they have turned against the President of the United States on gas prices. You get the rare trifecta, and in the case of President Trump, a very painful trifecta indeed.
So more Donald Trump regime officials have to go do their sycophantic dance on various regime media. You had Treasury Secretary Bessent. "This is the golden age. Things are so amazing. But if it's not amazing, let's blame it on Biden." Meanwhile, Donald Trump is enriching himself every day to the tune of billions of dollars a year, while the American people are getting screwed. Mark Wayne Mullen, "His approval has never been higher. It is through the roof." A bunch of crazy people. And then you have his energy secretary, Chris Wright. And even state regime media is like, come on. Can't you concede that we don't control the Strait of Hormuz? Like, admit that we don't control it. Watch what Energy Secretary Wright says. Here, play this clip.
Than people think it is.
But, Mr. Secretary, you can concede, can't you, that the U.S. doesn't have total control over the Strait of Hormuz?
Look, Iran is attempting to hold the world economy hostage and to terrorize their neighbors. They've built up a giant arsenal. So are they causing difficulties in the region? Absolutely. But they have a losing strategy. At the end, that will lead to the collapse of this regime in Iran as their economy gets strangled. But are they causing some difficulties for their neighbors and the world economy? Absolutely. But their ability to cause difficulties are declining. Our ability to escort and bring products out of that region is growing. They have sort of one card, and it's shrinking in size.
That does not sound like total control, but you have lots.
I'm pretty sure everyone has had that moment where the car starts making a noise it definitely wasn't making yesterday, and immediately you start to think, so how much is this going to cost me? I'm in the car constantly, including with my family. The idea of getting stranded somewhere and then getting slammed with a huge repair bill is not exactly appealing. That's why I love what CarShield offers. They have low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plans with low deductibles that can save you from major out-of-pocket repair expenses. Plus, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and rental car options at no additional cost, with ASC-certified mechanics and repair shops around the country. And CarShield has been doing this for over 20 years, with more than 2 2 million vehicles covered, a 96% customer review rating, and an A+ rating from the BBB. Listen, summer heat is absolutely brutal on your engine and your AC. Don't let a blown alternator ruin your family road trip and drain your bank account. Get covered with CarShield. Right now, CarShield is offering our listeners 20% off with the code MIDAS at carshield.com/Midas. So visit carshield.com/Midas, MEIDAS, to lock in your coverage today and protect yourself from expensive car repairs. Again, go to carshield.com/Midas and use code MIDAS for 20% off. That's MEIDAS.
Now, you want to know the condition right now of U.S.-Ukrainian relations? So Zelensky is struggling to even find any ambassador to the United States right now. In all of Ukraine, nobody wants to take this job because they know that it is a job where you get thrown under the bus. They're like, why would we want to work around Donald Trump when we know how it's going to destroy our career? You need someone who's got experience to be the ambassador to the United States, but literally no Ukrainian wants that position because they know it will kill their career. Meanwhile, you take a look at, again, as Donald Trump destroys our alliances abroad, the one place where Donald Trump continues to give money to is to Netanyahu and Netanyahu's regime, who brought us into this catastrophic and unlawful war. Israel's finance minister, Smotrich, said the following. This was his speech that he gave earlier today. "We have no intention of withdrawing from Gaza, from Lebanon, from Syria, despite what, unfortunately, they say on the left, and this will remain. The prolonged war has created a new security reality. It's a new reality right now," is what the Netanyahu regime is saying. "We have more territory to defend. We will remain in the security zone in Gaza, in the security zone in Lebanon, in the security zone in Syria." That's what they call when they steal other people's land. They say, that's our security zone, and we're going to stay there, and we're never going to leave. That is very telling. And I'll show you what just happened this morning. A young girl filming herself inside a displacement tent in Gaza, moments before an Israeli strike there, as Donald Trump says, "My board of peace did a deal. Hamas and Israel have agreed to peace. They've agreed to peace." Here, play this clip.
Okay.
Tragic and horrific. State regime media then interviewed MAGA Republican Congress member Andy Harris. And guess what? They blame Biden. They say it's because of Biden, there's socialism and communism, and that's what you should be scared of. What are you even talking about? You want to know who behaves like a freaking communist, authoritarian? Donald Trump in the Oval Office right now, taking over 30, 40 companies' equity stakes. Donald Trump picking the winners and losers in the economy, degrading actually free and fair and open markets. It's just Donald Trump and his right-wing oligarchs. That's what this is all about. Here's MAGA Republican Andy Harris for you. Play this clip.
But I think America is realizing that slowly but surely we are pulling ourselves out of the Biden economic malaise. And it's all due to, again, the Republicans passing the One Big Beautiful Bill, also called the Working Families Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's the mechanism of moving this economic engine forward.
Yeah, and you need to message it because you have this pretty large group, I want to say growing group of young, educated socialists who are sympathizing with the fact, and this is one of the reasons why they don't like artificial intelligence, despite its immense power once unleashed, is because it's taking money out of their pocket. They spent money on their educations. They don't think they can get a job. It's just something that needs to be messaged.
Well, look, I agree with you. I'll just put air quotes around education because obviously they're not educated. If socialism works anywhere in the world, they ought to go back to History 101 and real. Yeah.
Yeah. And when
we got this footage of Hegseth, I showed you the clips yesterday or earlier this morning as Hegseth and the Pentagon are attacking the MeidasTouch network. Hat tip to Aaron Parnas for his powerful reporting exposing the conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS George H.W. Bush and previously the USS Gerald Ford. So I showed you Hegseth before saying everything's amazing. The ships are doing great. Our sailors and our Marines have never been happier, which we all know is total crap. We all know is a lie. And we know the Trump regime not only treats our sailors and Marines horribly, they defame our sailors and our Marines every day. But Hegseth, is this guy on, what in the hell is wrong? He's talking about Cuba and he's like, they're going to work with us whether they like it or not. These Trump regime people are a bunch of predators. They are a bunch of freaking weirdo, sick predators, scumbags. Here, play this clip.
I'd like to see more cooperation from Cuba, whether they want to or not. Ultimately, they've been threatening the United States for a very long time, allowing foreign nations, malign actors to spy on America from there? Are they acquiring weapons that could reach the United States of America? That's
the MeidasTouch network exclusively reporting. Military families and service members are now describing horrific conditions across multiple ships. Human waste flooding bathrooms, feces everywhere, virtually no food, water, or soap, months without port calls, exhausted crews, no end in sight. And reports from military families suggest the problems aboard the Abraham Lincoln extend to other ships and even our troops on land. Anonymous accounts sent to Aaron Parnas and the MeidasTouch network describe severe conditions, including shortages of food, water, soap, and supplies, broken water systems, limited showers, sanitation issues, exhaustion, and declining morale after months of deployment. Families say sailors are struggling with long hours, little rest, and a lack of communication from leadership. So with all of this going on, what is Donald Trump also doing today? What else? Well, you saw from our reporting, getting rid of and it was the Wall Street Journal who were the first to report it, getting rid of the magnetic launchers for the the planes. That's actually the modern technology because Donald Trump wants steam launchers. So he wants to rip apart the aircraft carriers and take the billion-dollar systems that actually work to launch our ships, launch our aircrafts off the aircraft carriers and replace it with steam catapults. That's going to cost billions of dollars, and it's also not as effective. And then the U.S. has sent NATO members, NATO allies, or probably former allies, a questionnaire assessing their level of support for Donald Trump's policies, including their public backing of U.S. foreign policy, restrictions on American military bases, and purchases from U.S. defense contractors. A questionnaire is being sent to our allies at a time where the Trump regime is saying that they will reduce U.S. forces in Europe unless these countries submit their answers to this questionnaire and guarantee political loyalty to Donald Trump. I mean, this is a dream for Putin. This is a dream for Xi Jinping. This is a dream for anybody. Like that Donald Trump thinks that Iran wants to assassinate him. Oh, they will. You're killing the United States. What are you talking? You're killing our alliances. You've killed the post-World War II global world order. That's for sure. Pathetic. He's just a real pathetic loser. I mean, set aside your political views. This guy's a freaking loser. Just a loser. He's a loser human who surrounds himself with losers. This is a guy who was hanging, like all of his friends, Epstein, Casablanca, Jean-Luc Brunel. I mean, this was a guy who hung out around frickin' pedos. This is a guy who was found civilly liable for sexual assault. This is a guy who claims it's locker room talk to brag about sexually assaulting women. This guy's a frickin' loser. He's a sicko. He's a predator. He's a loser. Anyway, get WTF America, the book I wrote with my brothers. Have you pre-ordered WTF America? Tell me if you got it in the comments. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate you.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.